Hey folks, this is Chris Crazy House, and this is going to be my review for the Marvel film Doctor Strange. Overall, I'm just going to say that this movie is a mind trip, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Now, this is one of the more obscure Marvel superheroes. A lot of people have not heard of Doctor Strange, and he's not one of the ones that is promoted very well, even in the comic books, but Doctor Strange was originally created by Stan Lee doing the writing and Steve Ditko doing the artwork and some of the storytelling and writing as well, way back in the day. And Steve Ditko, for those who don't know, Steve Ditko is the mind behind Spider-Man as well. I know Stan Lee gets more credit for a lot of these Marvel creations, and really it's because he's still alive and he was smart enough to put his name on a lot of stuff. A lot of these artists were work for hire, but a lot of them were doing the real work when it came to a lot of these characters. That being said, the movie Doctor Strange was very well done and a very good adaptation of the comic book. I've always said in private, if I had to be a superhero, Doctor Strange is probably the superhero I would want to be. And it's because, for me personally, I've always been into magic, the occult, and lean more towards fantasy stuff than just straightforward sci-fi / superhero type stuff. So for me, this was right up my alley. The basic story of Doctor Strange is about a master surgeon named Stephen Strange, and he's played by the actor Benedict Cumberbatch. But he's a surgeon that's very well, he can do amazing things with his hands as far as healing people and taking, they had this great scene in there where he's removing a bullet. They didn't have time enough to really prep and use a machine to do it because the person was close to death. But Dr. Stephen Strange was able to get in there and get it because he has very steady hands. And it's made him a bit arrogant, all the success that he's had. He only takes on surgeries that are a challenge for him and that will get him notoriety and recognition, but also things that, where there's a chance of him doing well with the surgery. He doesn't want something that's an absolute failure or something that he can't do, because otherwise, it'll destroy his record and make him look bad. So it's made him very arrogant being this great surgeon. And on his way to a benefit, he winds up having a car accident. Of course, the car accident crushes his hands. The scene is actually very brutal, more brutal than you expect from a comic book movie. You actually see the instance where right before his hands are in a certain position, and you know that they're going to get crushed, and then they speed the film back up again, and the crushing happens. And of course, when he wakes up in the hospital, his hands are destroyed, and he can't perform surgery anymore, obviously, and he's trying to find other doctors that can help him fix his hands, because now his hands tremble and he can barely do the physical therapy that he's been given. He starts losing his money, his fame and fortune. He starts pushing away the people that were really in support of him, mainly the doctor character played by Rachel McAdams. I believe the doctor's name is Christine Palmer. He pushes her away. And eventually, he falls on his luck and winds up going across to the other side of the world to find out a way to fix his hands. And he winds up going to this place in Tibet and finding a secret monastery where he meets someone called the Ancient One. And he thinks that this person is going to be able just to heal him and make his hands work again, because he found out about someone else who had lost the ability to walk and has gained the way to do it by going to this monastery. So he goes there, he meets the Ancient One, played by Tilda Swinton. And this was a controversial role because before this movie came out, people were saying that, why is this white woman playing a character that in the comic books is Asian? But it turned out not to be that big of a deal for me watching the film. And you have to understand the reason Marvel did that is because the classic idea of this old Asian man being the instructor is a cliche and a stereotype. And I think that they were trying to avoid it by having this white woman there, but then people had a meltdown about that, saying that why don't we have an Asian playing this character? But whatever. Anyway, Doctor Strange meets the Ancient One, and she takes him on this journey, essentially showing him how to become a sorcerer and learn how to do magic. And he doesn't he didn't get the healing that he expected, but he winds up getting sucked into this world where he becomes a protector of humanity from darker forces and the multi-dimensions. So that's basically the story, and of course there's a lot going on there. There is one of the villain of the film is this man named Caecilius, played by Mads Mikkelsen, and he has contacted the Dark World and met this demon named Dormammu, and has decided to become his servant in order to gain immortality so he can live forever. And of course, he comes, that is forbidden by the Ancient One, of course, and there's that conflict, and Doctor Strange kind of gets, as the person who's new to all this, gets caught up in the middle of it, and winds up becoming the Sorcerer Supreme. But overall, this was a great movie. The visual effects are amazing. Like my father said, he said it seems like they threw every type of visual effect you can think of into this film. It's just very dazzling to the eye. When this comes out on Blu-ray, I will definitely pick it up. It was just a joy to watch, and like I said, if I were to become a superhero, this would probably be the superhero I would want to be, as far as someone who's able to learn about the occult, and learn about magic, and learn about the multi-dimensions, and learn how to change reality. That's right up my alley. That's the type of stuff I dream about and fantasize about. In fact, a lot of the scenes in this film look like something out of the things that I dream about. Even though my dreams are a little bit darker or a little bit more disturbing at some points. Other actors in the film that I enjoyed, Shidwell Ejiofor, I can't pronounce his name correctly, but very popular actor, black guy. I've always enjoyed him in movies. He plays the character Mordo, which, spoiler alert if you don't want to know this, but while he works with Doctor Strange in this film, anyone who knows the Doctor Strange comics knows that Mordo becomes Doctor Strange's worst or biggest villain. They become rivals and wind up fighting each other later on. It doesn't happen in this movie, but that's what's coming, and they kind of gave hints of that, because you see when the Ancient One gave Doctor Strange the authority to rule over a certain magical sanctuary, you kind of see Mordo kind of give her the side eye, like, I've been here longer, I've been faithful to this longer, and you're just giving this new guy the ability to use his sanctuary. So I'm very interested to see where his character goes from now on. And there's a scene at the end credits that give you a visualization of where that character is going, but I won't give that away. The other character I liked was the character Wong, played by the actor Benedict Wong. And usually this character in the comic books has always been more also a stereotype, the classical Asian manservant for Doctor Strange. In the movie, they made him more of an equal to Strange, and he is the one that oversees the library of all the magical and sorcerous books and literature and artifacts and whatnot. And to be honest, this is probably where, if this were me in this world, this is probably what I would be doing. I would probably want to be the one overseeing the libraries and holding all the keys to the knowledge. That's just the type of person I am. But he was also a warrior as well, because he was good at guarding that stuff. And you can see at the end that he was also a fighter. There's not a lot that I can say more about this movie other than the action sequences were amazing. I saw some crazy things in there. There's obviously the world bending, where they're bending the reality and the cities and everything. Those are crazy sequences. How they form these magical weapons out of using sorcery with their hands. Traveling to different dimensions, using their astral, projecting their bodies out, their spirit out to fight while their bodies are incapacitated. What are some of the other things I saw that were... There's a fight that happens in reverse, time travel and manipulating time. We are introduced to one of the new Infinity Stones in this movie. This is the Time Gem, and it is part of the Eye of Agamotto, which is a very well-known piece that Doctor Strange wears on his, as kind of like his brooch around his chest. And that's from the comic books, but in the movie, they've made it one of the Infinity Stones that we're going to see later on in the Infinity War. And I'm kind of glad they showed how it works, because they've explained this one more than I felt that they explained the other ones in the other films. But overall, I would suggest for you to go see Doctor Strange. It was a very well done film, very fun to watch, even if you're not into the occult like I am, or you're not into mysticism or sorcery or fantasy. This movie is a joy to watch, and I would highly recommend it. It's one of the better Marvel films as far as telling an origin story as well. And it has some good humor, and a lot of people were complaining about the villains not being as threatening. And they've complained about that with Marvel films before. But let me tell you guys something. Over the late 90s, when they started making a lot of these superhero movies, there was so much focus on the villains that the hero character became boring. And I think what Marvel has done, in my opinion, is they've made you care more about the actual heroes than you do care about the villains. I think that's a triumph, because let's be honest, those Batman movies of the late 80s, early 90s, they were good, but the Batman Bruce Wayne character was boring. You really didn't care about him. That's what makes a lot of these, new Marvel movies more interesting, is even if you feel the villain is lame, the story is mainly focused on the hero. You care about the hero even before they become the hero. You're invested in that character. So, Doctor Strange takes you through a range of emotions where at first you just see him as a surgeon, and then when he falls on hard times, he actually becomes a real jerk to the point where you don't like him anymore. And he has that redemption later on when he learns how to become a sorcerer and become a protector. You go along with this character in his redemption, because at first you want to see him fail because you think he's such a prick. It's very similar, and people have compared the Doctor Strange character very much to Iron Man, because their stories are very similar, except for, Iron Man was all about technology, and he was also an arrogant industrialist thinking it was okay to wage war, and then he gets caught up in one of his own weapons, and he decides to become a hero instead. And he has his redemption moments as well. But highly recommend going to see Doctor Strange. I didn't want to give too much away as far as like spoilers about what happens in the film itself. But it's a joy to watch. I had so much fun watching it, and I will definitely get it when it comes out. So check it out, and if you guys want to talk about the film and let me know what you guys think, please feel free to put it in the comment section. Just put a tag of spoilers if there's some story point that you're going to bring up, just so, because I don't want to spoil the film for anyone who hasn't seen it yet. Anyway, Chris Crazy House signing out. Peace.